Good evening. Welcome to Hungarian Public Media's News in English, Hungary Reports. I'm Híradó, bringing you today's news from Hungary and the Carpathian Basin. Let's get started. The 4 victims found during the salvaging of the Mermaid's wreckage on Tuesday have been identified by the authorities. Divers found the body of the young South Korean girl who died in the boat catastrophe, as well as the Hungarian captain. But they are still looking for 4 people. Experts say that it's possible that there are still bodies inside the boat covered in mud.
The salvaging of the Mermaid lasted for more than 7 hours. The professionals carrying out the operation all said that they were faced with a very difficult task. I can't think of a worse place the Mermaid could have sunk to, an industrial diver said. Richard Soproni explained that the divers descending to the sunken ship had to work in constantly changing currents. They had to pay attention to the direction and velocity of the flow at all times. The Counter-Terrorism Center was given a very difficult task by the Ministry of Internal Affairs. János Híradó said regarding the lifting of the vessel from the water. Every last move was quite unique. Our actions won't be reusable elsewhere. They cannot be repeated, and they didn't do us any good before this either. We had to come up with totally unique solutions for each action. I think that's a really difficult task. And the people working on this are professionals. They've been doing this for 20, 30, 40 and sometimes even 50 years. And even so, we were faced with many dilemmas on how to solve things, but in the end we succeeded, the Director General of the Counter-Terrorism Center said. János Híradó added that there can be still victims on the Mermaid. After salvaging the wreckage, divers found a thick layer of mud inside the boat. Some victims could be covered by it, but the rest of the investigation will be carried out by the police. If they don't find anyone on the boat, then the victims, who haven't been found so far, probably fell out of the boat when the crash occurred. In hopes of finding them, the Ministry of Internal Affairs has doubled the number of participants in the search along the Danube. Colonel Sun Sun-kun, the military attaché of the South Korean embassy in Budapest, thanked everyone who contributed to the operation and people still helping to look for the missing victims.
Organizers expect thousands of participants to arrive to the Bulletin cross swimming this year as well. According to plans, the competition will be held on June 29th, in about 2 weeks. But like every year, the date always depends on the weather and the temperature of the water. They may have to postpone the competition if the conditions aren't right. The location and the distance, however, are the usual, 5.2 kilometers between Révfülöp and Balatonboglár. More than 100 sailboats and motorboats will be supervising the safety of the contestants. Our main objective is that everybody do sports. We want to grant every precondition needed for someone to be able to enjoy their favorite sport. Additionally, we'd like to organize events such as the Bulletin cross swimming, which is one of the biggest recreational events in the country, and professional athletes and hobby swimmers alike can participate. The National Assembly has adopted another tax cut with a great majority. Starting this July, social contribution tax, also called payroll tax, will decrease from 19.5% to 17.5%, which means that companies will have to pay less contributions for each of their employees. The government has been planning this step for a while, but it just now became final.
160 voted for, 1 against, 5 abstentions. A large majority of the National Assembly voted to adopt a law proposal on decreasing payroll taxes, also called social contribution tax in Hungary, on Wednesday. The proposal lays down a further cut after 2017 and 18 from July the 1st, this time to 17.5%. This means that companies will keep 480 million euros this year and 960 million euros next year, which they can use for modernization, increasing their employees' wages, or creating new jobs. With the proposal, companies and the economy will both strengthen. It's important that the Hungarian economy will be able to protect the achievements it made in recent years, the Minister of Finance said. He went on to say that that's the objective of the Economic Protection Action Plan, a fundamental pillar of next year's state budget. Speaking in Parliament before the final vote, Mihály Varga added that further tax cuts can also be expected. The Economic Protection Action Plan, other than encouraging growth and cutting the tax burden, also aims to ensure that the industry branches that sustain economic growth receive more funding, he said. Other than decreasing taxes, the government also plans to keep the economy's momentum by simplifying taxes. The State Secretary for Tax Affairs said earlier that they wish to lift a significant burden off of companies' shoulders. They'll have to face decreasing taxes and less administrative burdens. It's also important that the actors of the economy will have to spend less time on filing their taxes, which we hope will help the upwards momentum of the economy to continue, he said. The government's intention is that the Hungarian GDP growth surpass the EU's average GDP growth by at least 2% next year.
The European Union would be poorer and less competitive if it had not accepted Central and Eastern European countries as members. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Híradó, said in Trieste at a foreign ministers' meeting of the Central European Initiative on Wednesday. According to the minister, the accession of countries from the Western Balkans would further strengthen the EU. He added that it is in Hungary's interest that the EU's expansion policy continue.
It is in our interest that the European Union finally expand its membership in the Western Balkan region. Our economic and national security interests both demand that, and it would also ensure greater safety for our country in stopping migration.
A center to help Hungarian businesses and startups has opened in Washington, D.C. with the help of the Hungarian Embassy and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. At the inauguration, a state secretary of the Ministry of Innovation and Technology emphasized that the objective of the center is to create an environment that helps Hungarian companies built on creative ideas to stay in Hungarian hands and to conquer the American market.
This house, we can call it a hub or a university campus, will open the possibility of innovative startups to incubate here inexpensively, in favorable conditions, and the embassy will help them find business partners who can then purchase their products.
The pictures at the International Hungarian Photo Salon were selected from the works of Hungarian expatriate photographers. The photos on display at the Knowledge Center in Pécs have been showcased in several places in the Carpathian Basin. They will soon travel to Ózd, Fülek, Ungvár and Nagykároly. The Nyíregyháza Open Air Theatre's summer season begins on Friday. The stage was renovated last year for more than €3 million and will be hosting theater pieces and musical dancing numbers until mid-August. This year's opening performance on the open-air stage will be a comedy, and the season closing show will be a musical evening. That's all for today. Catch the English news every day around 11:20 p.m. local time or stream at any time online. Coming right up are M1's other foreign language news broadcasts. Thanks for watching. Good night.